With Beast Morphers completed, I thought Hasbro was in a good position, better than Saban Brands, but Dino Fury, there was a lot of questions about it. Now, I mentioned in the last part I had stopped watching Super Sentai, so I knew nothing about ryusoulger. The only thing I did know was all the seasons they skipped. I didn't see any of those seasons, but I wasn't foaming at the mouth that they skipped them. I don't have a problem with skipping seasons or not using suits. It was more about, we're going back to dinosaurs already? Sentai used to keep them at 10 years interval, but Power Rangers made it worse. Now just 4 years, and it's really only 2 series. Plus, Beast Morphers just brought back all the Dino seasons in their team up. Are you guys really that desperate for cash? Also, we had no idea this was going to be the final cast for Power Rangers' original run. So the pilot episode airs, and I found out the whole season is built around the Morphing Masters. That one-off episode from MMPR, which was basically made up to explain the footage they had to use from Zyuranger, and built an entire backstory around it. Some of what they did was really good, but other bits of it, not so much. Loads of sci-fi shows have done this before. It's not new, but you have to be very careful when making these types of characters because it ends up making you ask more questions. Before Dino Fury, before RPM, we didn't really know anything about the morphing grid. We just knew it was a place of energy that people from different worlds could tap into, and it allowed suits, weapons, gear, many different things to be stored and called from. Then, with RPM, it finally had gotten a bigger explanation. It's an energy field that envelops a planet. Dr. K called it a biofield. We also know it can store living things in it. That's how Gem and Gemma were saved. Then they went a step further with the Nexus Prism. It seemed to be alive, or at least something that could control it, more so than the Quasar Sabers. Then Beast Morphers' main story was exploiting the grid's power into an energy source. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Then they went another step. The grid could alter objects. Steel was turned into a human. The Nexus Prism, Jason's Power Coin, and Steel's Pinocchio bit all told us someone or something is controlling the grid. In comes the Morphing Masters. I have a million questions. They're a blend of the Watchers in Marvel Comics and the Ancients in Stargate. They're an all-powerful species that inhabits the grid. For starters, why is there 6 Morphing Masters? I'm only talking about the continuity with the show. The first team of Rangers is MMPR. The Morphing Masters should have reflected the MMPR team, but there's 6 of them, and they're all the colors of the Dino Fury team. I guess you could defend this by the Morphing Masters are from Zayto's homeworld's grid, but they know everything. They mention the Nexus Prism is a proxy for them, and then this defense makes the ending of the series worse. If each planet has Morphing Masters, where are the other ones? These are the type of problems that happen when you do this. It would have been better if the Morphing Masters were just 5 using the MMPR colors. Let's move away from them for the time being. This is about Dino Fury. Let's go to the cast. The show started off with 3 Rangers. They took the good thing about Dino Charge, built the team up slowly. Looking back at the season, who I liked and disliked changed as the series progressed. Ollie is the one I'm talking about here. I liked him in the beginning, but by the time we got to the end, I just didn't care about him. It felt like he was turning into a waste. The side characters were doing more than him. I liked him originally because he was a snarky dick. He was just one step below Bulk and Skull. It was something new. Okay, not totally new. Rose was trying to do this, but they went too far in the asshole direction, so she never really recovered. Ollie was better handled, but as the season goes on, he gets lost. He's more of a conduit for his mom to come in to get the plot going. Then you had the whole screw up in Cosmic Fury. I think that's what really ruined him. If Dino Fury was just 2 seasons, I think he would have ended up as a fair character. I just wish they did more. This will be a running problem. Let's move to Amelia. I'll leave the alien side for now. Let's focus on her season 1 self. I mostly liked how she played out. I see the writers wanting to keep bits of how they wrote Zoe last season, plus a mixture of Dana from Lightspeed. She's your average PR character, like in the line of Trini or Kendricks, more of being in the back but still got your key episodes. I think it was done on purpose to have her be a contrast to Pop Pop. You're gonna have this hyper funny guy, let's not have the daughter always be over the top. I don't know if the writers had thought about the secret this early into the season, but everything fit. Amelia also reminded me of Cassie when she first came on Turbo. She was replacing Kat, which was kind of a big deal, and they gave her more of the weirder episodes to see how her character fits in. Amelia is the one who brought us to the team's job, and that place was all full of weird. Good weird, not the bad weird like Ninja Steel's school was. Again, I don't know if it was on purpose, but to me, it felt like the people who came from RAFCOM naturally want to lead. Zayto being the Red Ranger, Ion ending up owning that restaurant, and then Amelia being the Red Ranger in Cosmic Fury. That brings me to her best episode. The season 2 premiere has Amelia be boss for Buzz Blast. Why I liked it? She failed. I know that sounds stupid, but at the same time she learned about dealing with the pressure. I was thinking they were going to expand on this with future episodes, but I should have learned from Aeon's arc they wouldn't do that. She needed more to pay off her becoming Red Ranger. It didn't flow between the 2 seasons. I also never cared about Amelia falling in love with Ollie. It was more of a nothing burger. It just didn't feel like they had chemistry. The lack of him in Cosmic Fury made it worse. But I'm not saying it's the worst. That still goes to Jake and Gia. Next, I guess Ion. He was a lackluster 6th. He's not horrible, more like a wasted opportunity. He's just there. He fills in the role, but he doesn't stand out. He's like Daggeron. He mostly got nothing to do. And when they had the chance to do something with him butting against Zayto, being lost for millions of years, it just got resolved in one episode. Good 6 Rangers have their own story. In Jem and Gemma's case, share their story. Tommy has the evil arc. Zane, who Aeon is very similar to, he had his issues with the Morpher, then having to go back to the Resistance. Ryan's whole story. Merrick with Zanaku. What did Aeon have? And I can't even say it was because Aeon and Zayto were from the same place. They dealt with that with Andros and Zane. And last season you had Steel and Nate. I like their story. I'm glad Aeon got the restaurant a place to call his own. He wanted people to enjoy the weird foods of RAFCOM, but that's a little thing in the background. This is what I mean by a running problem with Dino Fury. Half the team feels like they're just there to service the Japanese footage, and I had no information on ryusoulger. It still felt like that. It's weird that I find half the team mid, while overall the season is fine. The Rangers being bland is ignorable. Bland is too harsh. By the book, I think, is a better word. Alright, 3 Rangers down, 3 to go. Time for Izzy. She's the show's first confirmed gay character, and they fumbled it. I was hoping they would do this right. There's been so many gay characters put in shows, and the majority of them end up being horrible. Instead of making a character who's also gay, they're just the gay character. Not just this, there's also logical problems. In the very first episode of her introduction, when she gets the Green Ranger powers, they make this big deal of her ripping off the skirt. 1, she's just become a Power Ranger. That's supposed to be the big moment. Why the hell is a skirt being filmed in slow-mo? 2, Power Rangers has had girls with no skirts since the first season, 28 years ago. Why would anyone care? I didn't. It's just there to showcase she's gay. It's all performative. As the audience, I care about how someone becomes a Ranger. I was completely thrown out of the moment. Now, Izzy's second episode was better. It was about her character, what she likes, her sports, fleshed out her personality, things they couldn't get into in her first episode. They also introduced Fern here. I did feel like they recycled Riley. I wish they had given her a more original sport like they did with Kelsey. You just did this 6 years ago and on the same Ranger color. But then we get into the Matchmaker episode. It made no sense to me. I kept saying to myself, wait a minute. Izzy never told her family she's gay? 1, Power Rangers has been accepting in a lot of areas. Why would she not tell them? And 2, when the show aired, it was 2021. It doesn't work either for that. The entire episode hinged on this, and it wasn't even a good episode. This type of story isn't done often either. The only time I could really think of this happening before was Grandma Matchmaker back in Space, and that was bad too because it was fake. It wasn't about progressing the potential Andros Ashley story, it was just about not making her annoying grandmother feel bad. This falls apart because it's not about progressing Izzy, it's just about Izzy being gay. A character's relationship is a small part of a character and has to funnel into the overall main story. Let's look at probably the most famous one, Kim and Tommy. That services the entire show. From a writer's perspective, you have to introduce a new Power Ranger into the series, and you know they're going to become a part of the main cast. How do you connect them quickly to the audience? At this point, we had 14 episodes to build the main 5. Tommy doesn't have that, so they chose Kim to like Tommy. We know Kim. We love the character. If she likes Tommy and the writing is good, key thing here, you give the audience more reason to care about what happens to him, because when you don't do that right, you don't care if someone is killed off or used like Tommy was. Then you progress the character's story. Where does it go? How do they act? We know Kim and Tommy like each other, but they don't openly admit it at this point, and it's not important to the story to be featured in every single episode. Kim and Tommy get standard episodes between Green with Evil and The Green Candle. The show doesn't lose its priorities. The Zords, the suits, the fights, those are the main things. Then they finally paid off at the right moment. Before MMPR was going to become a franchise, it was only supposed to have 40 episodes, and in Zyuranger, Burai dies. They don't want to kill Tommy off, but they have to do something, so his powers are taken away. The audience and the characters lose the Green Ranger. His teammates and us are devastated. You don't want to leave everyone on a sour note. That's when Kim finally kisses Tommy. It pays off the relationship and gives some hopefulness back to us. That's what Izzy and Fern's relationship lacks. Dino Fury was doing the inverse. The show was servicing them. It has no connection to plot lines. That's why it feels disconnected and forced. It's why Jake and Gia's relationship fails too. They do the extreme on both ends. They set it up in the pilot, completely ignore it for 98% of the show, and only paid off in the finale for a checkbox. Jake didn't earn Gia's respect. What did Gia fall for? There's no substance. It's just forced. And it annoys me because I know they can do it. They did it with Pop Pop. I haven't even mentioned her worst episode. Izzy graduating and going to prom. She got mad because she got a dress instead of a suit. This entire episode is stupid. Again, why didn't the parents know she's gay and what she likes? It's not consistent with Izzy's characterization. She's not an introvert. She's not Billy. This is the main reason why I don't believe her not telling her parents or her brother. On top of it, this is all about clothing. I don't care about that. This is Power Rangers. I'm just saying at the screen, you're entering college. You're not 10 years old. Go buy your own suit and be done with it. Why is this a B plot? At best, it should have been a single scene and ended there. Performative. Out of all the episodes that featured or focused on Izzy, they only did one that didn't talk about her love life. So she's just a gay character. What are we doing here? Shore Leave on the Venture Brothers was written so much better 20 years ago, and he first started out as an ancillary character. Do we not remember why we hated Will in Overdrive? All he did was whine and quit, over and over. But it's okay for every episode to talk about Izzy being gay? Izzy didn't even improve with season 3. They blew their second chance. I don't want to rehash Cosmic Fury. I reviewed all the episodes. You can hear my issues in those videos. But I am grateful they didn't get a chance to write what they originally planned if Cosmic Fury had gotten 20 episodes. They wanted Izzy to end up being overprotective of Fern when she became the Orange Ranger. And I'm like, do you not remember how Izzy got her powers? She was thrown into the situation. She had no experience. Izzy would have been a huge hypocrite on so many levels, unless you were going to actually call that out, but I don't have much faith in the writers. She's such a stark contrast compared to her brother, Javi. He started out slow, had some mishaps, but they did his character all right. He had passion for music, but he wasn't really sure what he wanted to do in life. Thanks to Buzzblast giving him a chance to be in front of an actual audience, it helped him both in life and to a degree as a ranger. He improved. As the seasons progressed, stepping up to the plate. The only place that got fumbled was when he lost his arm. Too rushed and toned down. And I don't mean because they didn't show blood. I mean, they kept having the characters keep saying it will be alright. Thanks to the lack of episodes, we have no idea how he breaks the news to his family. I still think his family should have been told the two of them were Rangers. That should have been the reveal, not Izzy being gay. Alright, 5 down. I left Zayto last because he's my favorite of the team. I prefer characters like Carter. I like leaders that are more reserved, not a stonewall. I still want them to hang out, them to have laughs, not be a lone wolf. I also like the return of an alien Red Ranger. We didn't have that since In Space, that dynamic of not quite understanding humans, and he also had that burden of his people being almost extinct. I could think of Just a few negatives about Zayto. The actor never got to show more of a range. He mostly was mellowed out. I wish there were more times when he showed some anger during moments, especially when Aeon blamed him for stuff. And him getting lost in Cosmic Fury. I still wish they had both Amelia and Zayto as Red Ranger following what Q Ranger did. And it would have been interesting if they had an episode where both of them argued on how to lead. Amelia and Zayto have different ways of doing things. But again, not enough episodes to explore this. This is one of those things I really liked about Wes and Eric. That's why they were considered both Red Rangers. Either one could easily lead the team, but that bickering constantly caused issues and drove all the conflict through the season. It's why Jen being the leader was a good buffer. That prevented a lot of things from going south. Think about it. When Eric offered the chance for them to join the Guardians, why would it matter to them? They are there just to get Ransay back to their time. It makes sense to join them. Jen had the perspective of Wes's dad. Thanks to him, he couldn't be trusted. For the final cast of the original continuity, I'd rank them as mid. The highest going to Lightspeed Rescue, the lowest Ninja Steel. Let's change channels to something new. The secondary characters. Solon, Pop-Pop, Jane, J-Borg, Morgan Garcia, and Ollie's mom Lonnie. I know there's more, but these are the main ones. I'll go with Pop-Up first. He's the reason why I wanted to cover them. For all the complaints I made with Dino Fury's cast, Pop-Up is the best written character out of everyone. He originally was just a side character. Cool, we get to know about the Rangers family, which I always want. I hate it when most seasons ignore backgrounds like this. He's very over the top, but when they finally explained his secret, you got why he was like this. He has way more depth than you think. Initially, you think he's kind of like that one-off relative, like Trini's uncle who invented invisibility, not the greatest MMPR plot. When he came in and found out Amelia was a ranger, at first I kind of suspected something like, wow, he really is taking this easy, helping out, he's pretty smart in a lot of things. The writers were good in covering up the secret. I just thought he loved helping out his daughter no matter what. But when they finally tell us that Amelia is Refconian and he saved her from the explosion and she's the daughter of the bad guys, I got why he was so happy to help and protected this hard. From his point of view, she just lost her parents. It was a disgusting situation and he didn't want her to grow up sad. He took that burden, basically put up a front, always making her happy, which in return, Amelia helped out Pop-Up be happy when she helped him on that date. See how all this works within the character's arc and the plot of the story, while Izzy and Fern falls on their faces? They elevated Pop-Up from ancillary to secondary to main cast. I can't think of anything negative. They balanced his goofy personality. He didn't feel like a character like Bulk and Spike and Samurai, or just servicing the plot. He was inserted into episodes right. I guess the only bad thing? I wish he got more episodes. Next up, Solon. She's confusing. The show doesn't really explain how she works. Rafcom, for some reason, has dinosaurs like Earth dinos. Did they evolve into humanoids at some point, or did they do some sort of experiment on them? We just know she was the one looking over the ship while Zayto was in storage. She had to also be in various fights since most of her is robotic. Plus, she is also able to create a ranger herself. That always bugs me. Why wasn't this ever done before? She's honestly a good assistant. We haven't had that since Alpha. League's better than Redbot. It's just when you think about her in detail, it doesn't really make sense. Unless I'm forgetting something, put it in the comments if I am. Now, Jane and J-Borg. I'm always worried about the season's Bulk and Skull after Victor and Monty, but they came up with something good. For one, the android thing was a weird idea, but then I thought, oh yeah, it's actually a good idea. Buzz Blast sends reporters after monster attacks. Having a robot is a good idea for that. They didn't overstay their welcome, helped keep some dry scenes from getting boring. They served their purpose well. I'm just more confused with Earth's tech level. One minute we have freaking robots and unlimited cookies, the next, generic cars. Now Lonnie, Ollie's mom, there's an issue here. I like her use, she's not bad. This team doesn't have the genius character, so they needed someone to explain and do these things. Technically, Solon is the genius character, but she can't go outside. It just feels like Ollie's mom was more important than Ollie himself. She got the more cool stuff, Ollie got some bland episodes, and going back to Cosmic Fury's problem, he's not there but to get her into the episode. There was just a weird balancing problem between the two of them. Same goes with the Warden. I'm happy they showed some form of Earth law enforcement. That's constantly ignored in PR. Giant monsters running around, blowing up cities. Where are the cops? They seem to all vanish when Sloan left. But he really doesn't get much to do. He's mostly a foil for Javi and Izzy, and since they never tell him they're Rangers or see anything about the arm stuff, he ends up just being there. Well, minus that one scene where Izzy was trying to change her voice. That was good. This leaves us with the villains. Void Knight, Void Queen, Mucus, and Slither, with a revived Lord Zed, but I'll save him for later. This entire story revolved around Void Knight trying to save his wife. Now, where have I seen a woman trapped in a tube trying to be saved at all costs before?
The cold eyes of vengeance are upon you.
Anyway, this was a pretty good plot line. For several recent seasons, the villains in PR were just there to be evil. Little depth. Anytime they had something interesting, they fell on their face. Evox was good, but because he was elevated higher because of RPM. I wanted to see what they could do with who's all new. Void Knight and his story was a nice break from the norm. It's tying into the Rangers and Ravcon's fate, even a complete screw up by Earth. I also didn't hate the various generals. Whenever they do funny generals, it usually ends up being garbage, like in Ninja Storm and Norg. Mucus and Slither worked, combining the dual style of Squat and Babu with the turning arc of Gindrax and Toxica. It did help that they had great performers behind them. It felt almost like a redemption from the other seasons like Ninja Steel, where the villains were either total crap, not having any form of bite, and were so unmemorable. I do like it when villains are kind of confusing. I know Void Knight is the bad guy, he has to be stopped, but we know he's doing it for a certain reason. Then everything goes to hell when season 2 starts. He does save his wife, but because of what really happened, Tarek's wife turned into Void Queen. At least we got more stuff from Tokyuger. I still would like to know how they decide on reusing suits from skip seasons. They had a lot of seasons to pick from. I would have probably gone with someone else. For the whole reveal of Amelia being from Ravcon and her being the daughter of the Void family, it was nice. I see what you're doing. You're pulling a Tommy, except it's backwards. This is why the show's mid. You had screw-ups with half the team, but you have the extras and the villain stories pushing it back up. If the show had only gotten 2 seasons, I would have been satisfied with the ending. Now, I didn't forget about Lord Zed. When I heard he was coming back, I was really going, oh no, you're gonna screw everything up from in space. But the way they brought him back was the best way they could do it. I'm glad they didn't do time travel because that would have been a mess. It would almost feel like Beast Wars Season 3, and I don't trust them with time travel after Dino Charge. But it's still a problem with the Morphing Masters. Back at the start, I said it's really hard to do characters like this, and we ran into the problem here. Green decides to break the rules of non-interference and capture Zed. It's all well and good, but now I'm going, you could have done this anywhere at any time. What about when Zordon died? How come you didn't help then? This is why I wish the Morphing Masters were more humanoids that found out about the Morphing Grid first, mastered it, but then decided to go to sleep or something, sealing themselves away. You could still link it to that MMPR episode, like the eggs were maybe a way to wake them up, versus them being all-powerful beings, which was walk back when Zed escaped Green anyway. They can't interfere except in this season when they do. The cliffhanger of Zayto being dead was okay, but it did wear out its welcome. He pulled more deaths than Optimus Primal. But I won't forgive the writers throwing out that nice suit in one episode. Honestly, Dino Fury is hurt by Cosmic Fury. Sometimes I wish they hadn't done it. I see them having Zayto die in the finale. They would have probably brought him back if they did a future team up. But when they got the go with Cosmic Fury, it felt like, oh, we can do whatever we want. Not with 10 episodes you can't. But that's a story for the next video. If you have a suggestion or a topic you'd like me to do, leave a comment down below. Thanks again for watching. Archer out.